Thank you for joining us on Data Cloud Now, where we bring you the latest in all things data in business and industry. I'm Ryan Green, and I'm joined by Siddharth Bohra, SVP and Chief Business Officer Digital and LTIMindtree. Sid, it is such a pleasure to have you on the program today. LTI and Mindtree recently merged to form LTIMindtree. For the audience watching, can you talk about why that was so pivotal for the overall future of the business?
Sure, Ryan. And firstly, it's a pleasure to meet you and being on this show. Both the companies, LTI and Mindtree, are in one business, which is the business of making our customers successful and their businesses. And the more the number of ways that we can help them do that, the better it is for us. Now, both LTI and Mindtree were best in class, if I may say, in the areas that they decided to play. And just as an example, LTI was very deep in the space of data, as a result of which we have such a fantastic partnership with Snowflake. On the other side, Mindtree did magic with how they transformed the experiences for their customers, consumers, and employees and partners. So seeing both these capabilities, the best of the best, come together was a really compelling proposition. And that's why it became very pivotal for us to come together and create this unified offering to our customers.
It sounds like the perfect combination and an exciting next chapter for LTIMindtree.
Absolutely.
LTIMindtree defines itself as a new technology consulting firm in today's hyper-competitive landscape. What trends are you noticing, and what's top of mind for customers?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and it can also be confusing. We think we are living in very paradoxical times. And that makes generalization of trends rather very challenging. And let me take a few examples to kind of articulate what I'm saying. On one hand, our customers want continuous transformation, right? They want to change a whole bunch of things with their businesses. On the other hand, they're also looking for cost control.
Right.
They want to spend a lot less, and the environment we are in right now. There is a lot of talk of employee productivity. On the other hand, there is also this constant realignment to the future of work. What's the right scenario in which their employees should be operating? Flexible work, hybrid work, work from home, all sorts of those things.
They're sometimes working against each other.
There you go.
Right.
And then, the other form of paradox is, there is so much talk of now generative AI and real potential in terms of what businesses can do with it. But on the other hand, customers are also struggling with what are the guardrails, what are the guidelines that they need to watch out for. So we live in this constant environment of potentially polarizing situations and data points. And in that fairly paradoxical situation, we see, I would say, 4 seminal trends. And they, in many ways, are our North Stars in terms of what we want to do for our clients. First and foremost is the constant focus on transforming business models. And again, to use an example, nearly every company in every industry wants to get into the subscription business. Be it a manufacturer, be it a high-tech company, be it a financial services company. That's a fundamental shift in business models. The second seminal trend we see is this constant reimagination of core business processes for them to become more agile, more efficient, more intelligent, right? So there's constant revectoring of that happening, of their core business processes. The third seminal trend we see is in the space of experience, which is really about reimagining the experience for the enterprise's customers, partners, employees. It seems to be a relentless pursuit to transform that experience. And finally, there is creating a secure enterprise. Cybersecurity has become a serious topic that you have to factor into.
For just about everyone.
For just about everyone. And by the way, there is a unifying force across all of this, which is the world Snowflake plays in, which is data. The underpinning of all of this change is data. So we look at these 4 or 5 seminal trends, and within that rise the real opportunities for companies like LTIMindtree.
I'm glad you were able to walk through, the way you're approaching the business currently, because, what is very unique to LTIMindtree, it's, engineering DNA with experience DNA. You help businesses get to the future faster. I want to dive in a little bit to the Snowflake angle specifically. How does the data cloud and specifically Snowpark help you meet those objectives for your clients that are constantly wanting to put forward?
That's such a great question. So if you look at what seems to be increasingly becoming inevitable is the fact that data is going to become the monetization
Right.
variable for many enterprises. We call this data commerce, right? And what does data commerce mean? In simple terms, it means a very tangible, measurable way of how you monetize your information, right? And Snowflake is right in the middle of this, enabling this transformation. So when we started first partnering with Snowflake, it was all about moving the data workloads to cloud with the data cloud, right? And we are one of the most, I would say, successful partnerships that Snowflake has, because we are now collaborating on 100+ accounts in making that transformation happen. So that's
Plus?
Yes, that's right. Now, if you look ahead from beyond the migration, it's really about how enterprises monetize that data that they have brought onto the cloud, and which is where Snowpark comes in so handy. So if you look at our motto of future faster, in the future, customers are going to embed data and analytics into their core processes, into the experiences they create for their customers and partners. They will embed that into nearly everything they do. And the ability to light up machine learning use cases, the ability to use AI in transforming those processes and experiences is going to become very important. That is where we are partnering with Snowflake to be one of the first at-scale partners of Snowpark. And we're building customized IP to accelerate that move to Snowpark and then be able to monetize the value from Snowpark. So that's a really exciting future of the partnership between Snowflake and LTIMindtree.
To your point, it's a true partnership because at the end of the day, collectively, each other's customers are better off. And that's what it's all about, that consistent innovation. Because as we talked about at the beginning of this program, I think we can both agree that we're in a very hyper-competitive environment right now.
That's right.
From your perspective, will these partnerships continue down into the future, or will they double down from your perspective?
It's a very topical question. And as we see our business in the services space evolve, it's increasingly becoming collective motion. And it's collective motion with our partners. So if you look at what do technologies companies like Snowflake do, you create technology that amplifies human potential, right? Services companies like us bring in the human element to realize that potential. So it's a brilliant virtuous cycle from our perspective.
It's true collaboration.
It's true collaboration. So what we strive to do with partners such as Snowflake is 2 or 3 things. Firstly, deeply understand the value of the technology you are constantly creating, the value of the innovation that you are constantly doing. Secondly, making sure that hundreds and sometimes thousands of people are proficient on that technology, so that we are able to take it to our clients and help them realize the value from that technology. So for us, the whole motion with our strategic tech partners and partners such as Snowflake is a one singular collective motion of creating value for our clients. And we're really succeeding in the marketplace doing that. We're having a lot of fun doing that along with Snowflake.
Looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Absolutely.
We've talked about external LTIMindtree. Now I want to bring it in internally, if you don't mind. The new collective entity has over 90,000 employees across over 30 countries, over 700 customers. How are you using data internally to help manage this vastly growing global team?
So that's a great question. Hey, listen, I said earlier, we're in the business of helping customers succeed in their businesses. Now, let me demystify what does that really mean, and what do companies like us do on a day-to-day basis. We work with hundreds of companies in helping them run their operations. What does that mean? Helping employees stay connected, employees stay productive and secure, helping them ship their products out, helping them close their books, helping them run their manufacturing plants. Without our collaboration, without our efforts, it would become very difficult for some of these customers to continue running their operations seamlessly. we take that responsibility extremely seriously. And that's just the run part. Companies, as I said, are constantly changing and transforming, right? So we're helping companies reimagine their supply chains and their manufacturing, build, along with Snowflake, a data muscle that helps them do their business better. That's another very critical suite of activities that we perform for our clients. Now, again, all of this needs to run 24/7, day after day, week after
But
week.
no weekends here?
Yeah, there's no weekend here. And all of that requires a very strong operational muscle, all of which requires a very strong data muscle. So data is the underpinning of our business. Data is what keep our business resilient, and which helps keep our customers' business resilient. So that's one part of what we do. So data is the underpinning of, and by the way, even on that front, we have a strong partnership with Snowflake internally as well on the data front. And then there's the employee part of it. Keeping the employees active and productive and secure and proficient and constantly learning. That is another angle from a data perspective. So data is the core of how we run our businesses and help customers do what they can do best.
I really appreciate, Sid, you sitting down with me on Data Cloud Now. I have to ask, we've covered a lot, but what's next for LTIMindtree? And for the audience watching, how can they learn more?
Today, we're very excited to have come together and become one company. And we see a very exciting market opportunity wherein we combine multiple capabilities of ours to be able to create outstanding outcomes for our clients. We call that LTIM1, right? And this is about, just imagine a scenario where data, analytics, experience come together and are intertwined into the core workflows of our organization. These things create magic. We foresee a scenario where transformation in our customers' landscape is unified, where multiple capabilities come together to create, as I said, magical outcomes. So that's one part of it. The other part of LTIM1 is this collective motion that I spoke about. How do we truly force multiply with partners such as Snowflake to create outcomes for our customers that they really dream to get, where there is accountability which is absolute? So that's the second element of LTIM1. The third part is being the best at a few things, right? And we're not a spray and pray company. We focus on a few things and we do them well. And data is one such space. So we look to, through our Phosphor, which is our product set, and through our IP in the data space, and through partnerships such as Snowflake, we want to create some best-in-class examples of what customers can do with their data and so on and so forth. So that's the third part of scaling incredible impact for our customers. So LTIM1 is the future, a more unified, more collective sales motion to create outstanding outcomes for our clients and for ourselves.
Sid, such a pleasure having you on the program. It was great to hear your insights and exciting next chapter for LTIMindtree.
It's been so much fun talking to you, Ryan.
Absolutely. We're just getting started. For the audience watching, I'm Ryan Green with Data Cloud Now. We'll see you soon.